Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Our retirement plan service department works with companies to build and bolster retirement plans, including 401ks. Tom Parks is Director of Retirement Plan Services at Annex Wealth Management and here to discuss some very encouraging news. Welcome back, Tom.
Thanks for having me, Danny.
This must be music to your ears. Can you tell us what has been called the tipping point?
It took nearly 50 years, they say, but nearly half of all private sector workers are saving in 401k plans. It went on to say that around 70% of private sector employees have access to a 401k style retirement plan. And I like that they use that language because simple IRAs and things like that, people have a tendency to say 401k, and it's not exactly the same thing. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'm just happy that people are accessing these vehicles.
I have a fondness or an attachment to my 401k because it's an old friend. It's been following me around since I was 22.
And I do as well. When I started in this business, I didn't know a whole lot about the business. And I worked with this lady named Nancy Schimmelfenny, and she said, just start putting away 10%, put it in the most aggressive investment, and forget about it. And I was like, okay, Thankfully, I listened to her. Obviously, I got a lot more educated over time, but that was very good advice that Nancy gave me back in those days.
Talking about the tipping point with 401ks, and this is great news. So digging down, what do you think some of the key factors that are driving that participation rate?
One of the things I think is just a general cultural awareness in the United States among younger workers in particular, that if they're going to want to have some sort of decent retirement, it is incumbent upon them to do something about it themselves. There's a proliferation of 401k plans is a big part of it, and 401k style plans like simple IRAs and things like that. But I do think the overall awareness of people that if they want to have something, they're going to have to put in some effort themselves is a big contributing factor.
What's kind of helped is that automatic enrollment. And at first, it looked like people were being forced into it, but gently forced and wisely forced.
There's this book I always refer people to called Nudge, and it talks about the placement of things and encouraging people to basically do what you want them to do without technically forcing them to do it. And automatic enrollment is one of those things where 401k plans, they are voluntary. So that has not changed. You're in unless you tell us you don't want to be. And it is amazing, Danny, what inertia does for people. So once you're in there, it just kind of keeps coming.
We're seeing evidence that small businesses are playing a role. How come? Why is it getting easier?
Technology is playing a huge role in this. The changes in Congress, so from a regulatory perspective, Congress is really encouraging companies to assist their employees with this. Some states are putting in mandatory state-sponsored 401k type things. I'm not crazy about that concept. I think that the free market has plenty of alternatives here. But really, technology is a huge one. It's making it easier. It is driving down costs because there's an administrative burden associated with these 401k plans that has really, I think, kept some smaller companies from like, do I really want to invest additional resources in that? So increased competition in our space, better technology. I think all those things are coming together.
How about fees? We hear more about fees. I mean, do fees matter? I guess I've never really paid attention. I guess I've always liked my plan enough that it wasn't really a concern.
Fees do matter. I was thinking about this. I have a plaque that one of my friends gave me in my office that says, the bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of low price is forgotten, Danny. And fees are important when you're talking about investments. But I think here too, if you look at competition, there has been extraordinary fee compression in the 401k space in particular. And so really for me, it's not a question of what is the level of the fee. To me, it gets to transparency. As long as you can see what you're paying, then you're generally going to be in a pretty good position.
Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services, Annex Wealth Management, talking about the news that half of private sector workers are now saving in 401ks for the first time. Even with that growth, a couple of concerns yet.
Yeah, the adoption among people who have access to the plans has been really good, but there's still a lot of people who do not have access to the plans. So that's something where some of the really small businesses, and there are a lot of them in our country, that's the thing. Small businesses employ a significant percentage of the overall population. So there's more work to be done. I do think that technology is going to make this better and better as we go through.
Haul out your crystal ball. What's the future of 401ks? What can we see in the future years?
Increase in automatic, compulsory sort of provisions, I think, are a big thing. I do think that there are going to be more adoption among those smaller employers because there's a demand from the workforce. Not only is it the right thing to do, and most small businesses, they do want to do the right thing. It's just a matter of figuring out how to get it done. Hopefully, all this news we hear about AI, Danny, maybe that's going to help. But I think we're going to see more of it as time progresses.
Let's talk about your department and what it does for companies. Let's put a plug in because you guys do a great job.
I appreciate that, Danny. I obviously agree with you. I would say the biggest differentiator for our group is that we can relate. We're able to cut through all of the distraction associated with it, just the stuff we've been talking about here, fees, their investments, there's income and all this other stuff. We will communicate effectively and we will relate to help employees make this benefit a real jewel in what they're offering their team.
Tom Parks, Director of Retirement Plan Services, Annex Wealth Management. Thank you.
Thank you, Danny.